Using amps is a great way to add a unique sonic character to your sound. I'll be using Psyamp by my friends at Beastsamples. This is a new plugin by them and they asked me to give it a try. Of course, this is an honest review, no money in between, and they haven't watched this video in advance. This plugin is not modeled on any hardware unit, but states that it has its own analog character. Now, I don't want to make a discussion about what an analog sound is and if you can recreate it on digital, so it's on you that you pay attention to the sound and decide if you like it or not and if it sounds analog enough. It sounds nice and it has a vintage vibe. But as you can see, we have a lot of different options, even some options for effects that are not part of an amp, so let's check everything that this offers. For starters, it says that it has a tube kind of distortion. It's not too extreme, and for me it sounds warm. We can even increase the input gain with this slider on the left. But this is not the only way to get harmonics, we also have the distortion slider, but we have to turn it on with this little square. It can get really dirty, which is fine by me. Now, one interesting thing is that this is not only an amp emulation, because we also have a lot of effects. These effects go for something like a wah to a delay and reverb. Besides that, the wah effect has its own modification for the frequency on which the effects is being applied. Besides that, we also have some experimental effects, like the pitch shifter. To actually hear it, you have to detone it, and you can go up to 12 semitones up or below. As you can hear, the pitch wheel is actually a mix knob, so if you go in between, you can get a really distorted and noisy kind of effect, which I really dig. After that, we have a flanger, and it has its own speed control. The only thing I have to say is that I wish it could go even slower, but I like how fast it can get. Next to it, we have the vibe, which is actually a vibrato. And finally, we have a simple delay and a reverb. As you can judge by the sound, it's probably based on a tape delay. Besides all of that, we also have this cabinet impulse response, so we can add to the vibe of a real amplification by making it sound like it's coming from a cabinet. Now, what I like about this plugin is that we also have all of these settings to change or fine-tune each of the effects we have at the top. For instance, we can add more emphasis on the wah. On the other hand, I said the tube was a little bit subtle, but here we can actually introduce more harmonics and even enable the dirtiness. Then at the bottom we have a low cut and high cut filter for the distortion. So after that we have a simple 3-band EQ. And finally some settings for the rest of the effect. As you will see, the vibe didn't have any parameters to choose from, but now we can change the speed and the symmetry of the waveform, which can get really crazy. We can change the time and the feedback of the delay and even add some high cut. And we can also add some stereo tremolo to it. Finally, at the bottom we have controls for the reverb. You may have noticed that if we add reverb, we lose a little bit of gain. That's why they added a makeup knob. This is because reverbs wash the signals away. We also have classic controls for the damping and the decay, and a noise gate to cut the tail. this one will actually affect the whole signal. As you can hear, this is a really experimental kind of amp emulation, and for me it's more like 50% amp and 50% multi-effect, which is great if you ask me. It definitely have its own character, and as you heard, it sounds good on different sources. So let me know in the comments what do you think about this plugin, if you like it or not, and while you're at it, give a like to the video. I will see you next time, and bye bye!